Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wareham Planning Board for Monday, March 14th, 2022. I'll get things started here so we can keep the meeting rolling right along. Start with a roll call. I know Carl Schultz is not with us tonight. Sam Corbett?
Here.
Jane Gleason?
She's coming in the room right now. I just admitted her.
Okay. Mike Baptiste?
Yeah,
I see your handsome face there, Mike.
thank you, Michael.
And and myself, Mike King. So give Jane a second to get settled. There she is.
I see Alan on it. He's not talking yet.
Who's that? Aaron?
Alan, boy, Sandy got you good, huh?
Jane, could you unmute yourself and just give us a verbal?
No,
For the,
he's
roll call?
muted. He didn't say anything.
See, Alan, nobody knew that washing your car was quite that dangerous.
Sandy put a right hook on him.
There's a 2x4.
She hit you with a 2x4?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give her a baseball bat.
I got lucky. She missed the 2x6. I'm all set for a place on The Walking Dead now.
Jeez. Aaron, could you unmute Jane for us?
I can't unmute her. I can ask to
Oh.
unmute her, but she has to do it herself. I think she's working it out right now, though.
Okay. We'll give it another second. There she is.
Good evening.
How are you tonight, Jane? Okay, so we have 4 out of 5. We have Sam Corbett, Jane Gleason, Mike Baptiste, and myself. Carl Schultz being absent for tonight's meeting. Planning board news. The only planning board news that I have to share is the fact that Carl Schultz isn't with us tonight. So if there's any other board members that have something to share.
Michael, can we update the website with the new people, name and position?
The website is behind, is it?
Yes. Also make sure the new date is there for people turning in different paperwork for the board.
Okay, we can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Preliminary business. Let's just dive right into this. For a vote on endorsement, 4-22 approval not required, 3 Short Neck Road and 109 Onset Avenue. La Casa. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we get too far into this, we did have 2 public hearings tonight for those that are here to listen, rather than keep you and then find out later that they're not going to be here. We'll jump to item number 1 under continued public hearings. 33-21 site plan review for 0 Route 25. That applicant has asked for a continuance, so that will not be heard tonight. And item number 2, 36-21 modifications to special permit site plan review, Bay Point Club LLC. They have also asked for a continuance, and they will not be heard tonight. Aaron, do we need to vote to accept those continuances?
Yeah, I would take a vote.
Okay. I would entertain a motion for a vote for accepting the continuance requests for 33-21 site plan review, Wareham PV1 LLC, 0 Route 25, map 115, lot 1000, ground mounted solar energy generation facility.
So moved.
Second.
Mike,
We
when-
have a motion.
Mike,
I'm
what
sorry?
What date and time are you continuing to?
That's a good question, Aaron. Did they specify the 28th? I
Yep,
didn't see that.
yeah, they asked for the 28th.
Okay.
Both?
So for a 33-21 site plan review continuance request to March 28, 2022. We have a motion by Sam Corbett, a second by Mike Baptiste. So we'll take a vote. Sam Corbett.
Aye.
Jane? Can you hear us, Jane? Okay, we're getting a non-verbal aye from Jane. Mike Baptiste?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so that's 4-0-1.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. For hearing and possible vote, 36-21, modification to special permit, site plan review, Bay Point Club LLC, Phase 4, 19 Bay Point Drive, map 9, lots 104B and 104A-1-7, new 8-unit townhouse buildings. I would entertain a motion to accept
So
the
moved.
request for continuance.
Second.
Also to the DAs. Motion from Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. We'll take a vote. Sam?
Aye.
Jane? Jane's definitely got microphone issues tonight. Give me a thumbs up, Jane, so we have it on record. Okay, Jane, Mike Baptiste?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-1 to continue to March 28. Okay. Charlie, keep me honest between you and Aaron. If you see me going off the rails, just give me a swat and get me straightened out. Preliminary business, 4-22, approval not required, 3 Short Neck Road and 109 Onset Avenue, Lacassi Realty Trust, map 2, lots H1, H2, and H3. Do we have someone here for the applicant?
Bill Madden, GAF Engineering, on behalf of the applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Madden. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
You know, if I was any better, there'd have to be 2 of me. Okay, if you could walk us through this, please.
Okay, this is a redivision of 3 lots down on Short Street and on Onset Ave. There was an existing lot lines between lots H1, H2, and H3. They're being reconfigured to eliminate an encroachment of an existing building and also to create an easement for a driveway. The new lots that we're configuring are shown on the plan. They're H1A and H2A. We're trying to maintain the same area on each one of the lots. I think we were successful in that for the most part. But H1 is exactly the same as what it had been on the. I'm sorry, I thought somebody had a question. But that's basically what we're seeking to do. Both lots were in existence prior to the adoption of zoning in 1951. One of the structure, I guess, on lot number 2 was built in 1940, and the structure on lot H1, according to assessor's records, was built around 1900. So according to, I guess, section 81L of subdivision control, if we have two buildings, we're able to divide the lots into basically separate lots with each building remaining on each one and not constituted as a subdivision. So we filed it as a reconfiguration of those three previously existing lots into these two lots. One is 5819 square feet, that's H1A. H2A is 11,169 feet. So that's what we're presenting tonight.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, this is just to clean up a small mess and the fact that a lot line runs through that garage building?
Yeah, you see those dotted lines that show where the previously existing H3, that's where the arrow is now, that one there. And yes, that's predominantly the reason. And then the rest of it was to reconfigure area and to provide an easement, an access easement to H2A across H1A. So we show that for reference for you. There's a small detail of it on the plan.
Charlie, do you see anything that jumps out at you? I mean, to me as a layman, it looks like it's just a little bit of housekeeping.
Well, it's more than housekeeping. It's redividing the lots, but it's still allowed under 81L. So it's a simple approval not required.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I appreciate the input. Any input from any of the other board members? No, hearing none. Okay, and seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the request for 3 Short Neck Road and 109 Onset Avenue, the Casualty Trust.
So moved.
Second,
Motion by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. Take a vote. Sam? I didn't hear you, Sam.
Aye.
Okay. Jane? On the screen here so I can.
She said thumbs up, Mike.
Yep, I see her. I'm gonna have to keep her picture up so I can get her votes. Mike Baptiste? And the chair votes aye, so that's 401. Approved. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you all very much. Much appreciated.
Now, Mike, just a note,
Yes.
just a question for Aaron. Aaron, has a notification gone to the Plymouth Registry of Deeds and Land Court that says that Jane is now a full member of the board?
I think it has, but I'm Alan Slavin. I don't know. You might be able to answer that question. I have more insight, but I'm pretty sure that has already happened. Yes.
Okay, just wanted to check because she can vote on subdivision plans now on A&Rs, just as she would be on special permits now that
Right.
she's a full-time member. Yeah.
Right.
That's all.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
sounds like a
Yep.
phone commercial.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. Next up. A vote on endorsement for 5-22 approval not required, 434 Main Street. Nazi El Khalazi, map 62, lot 1057. Looks like a redivision of land to create 3 new lots on an existing. Is there somebody here for the applicant?
I think that's Bill Madden too.
Well, actually, Brian Grady is supposed to be on. He's on, but he's
Yeah,
actually
I'm sorry.
taking-
I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian Grady, GAF Engineering.
Okay,
Aaron,
if you
can
could
you
walk
pull
us
this
through
up?
this, please, Brian?
Can you pull that plan up, Aaron, or do you want me to?
I can pull it up right here.
Okay, so this property is at 434 Main Street. It's in the Wareham Village 2 district. There is an existing home on the Main Street side, and there's some out structures over on the High Street side. Did have a meeting with the Wareham Historical Commission on March 2nd, where they voted to allow all these structures to be raised and demolished. 434 Main Street, a portion of that was built in 1860, and then the addition off the rear, which was the late 70s, but the home is, for the most part, structurally unsound. We did a walkthrough with the commission. It authorized the demolition of all the structures on the property. So what you're seeing here is we're creating a lot around the existing dwelling, 434. That's 31,754 square feet. And then we're creating 3 new lots over on the High Street side. Again, this is the Wareham Village 2 district, so we do exceed the requirements of 15,000 square feet and 75 feet of frontage. And all lots will be served by municipal sewer and water. Could respond to any questions or comments.
So if you're planning on taking down every single piece of building, structure, shed, everything on that lot's just going to be cleared, correct?
That's correct. Correct.
Okay. As far as an A&R, I mean, it has area, it has frontage, and it has access, so I don't see any reason why we would deny this. But I welcome input from the board and also please from you, Charlie, if you have something that you see that I'm missing.
No, I think it's okay the way it is. There's a table on the left-hand side of the plan, and it stipulates the minimum required frontage and an area for each lot. That seems to be the case. It seems to be compliant that way. And I just was looking at the lot areas that the 3 back lots, roughly 45,000 square feet. The front one is 31. But that one on Main Street is not as deep as the others, so I can see why it would be 31,000. But other than that, no, it's fine. I think you could endorse it as an A&R.
I would have to agree with that. Any input from the other board members?
Charlie, do they have to apply for a curb cut for all 3 lots, or that happens automatically?
Say that again?
Do they have to apply for a separate curb cut?
Yeah, if they're going to have
Is
3 separate, yes, if they're going to have 3 separate driveways on High Street, they would have to apply for a curb cut from DPW.
Okay, because initially on lot, I want to say 61, 57C
Yep.
has the driveway that goes into that property now, right?
Right, if they're going to
Okay.
be sold as, if they're going to be sold as separate lots, they have to have separate access unless they make some sort of an easement arrangement to allow that existing driveway to be used for all 3.
Okay,
If they're going to sell them for separate lots and with no restrictions or anything, then they would have to apply for separate curb cut permits from Dave Bernard's office.
okay. Thank you.
Sam or Jane, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, it looks pretty straightforward.
It does. So having Said that, I would entertain a motion for a vote on endorsement of 5-22, approval not required, 434 Main Street, map 62, lot 1057.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by James, seconded by Mike Teese. Take a vote. Dan Corbett.
I abstain.
Okay. Jane,
Aye.
Mike Baptiste,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. So 3-0-302. It's a majority of the board, so that would get the endorsement. Next up, item number 3, vote on endorsement for 6-22, approval not required, 5 over Jordan Road and 172-176 Great Neck Road, TJP Realty Trust, map 20 lots 1035-D, 1019C4, and 1051. Is there someone for the applicant?
Yes, good evening, Mark Dibb, with the applicant from Cape and Islands Engineering. If you could share the screen, Aaron. So what we have is basically a couple minor changes to some existing lots. So at the top of the screen, you'll see lot 1. We're actually removing a lot line. Former lots J and K had previously been subdivided in order to potentially convey lot J to Richard and Christine England, but we're just basically changing that back to lot 1. So it's actually going back to what it was for a long time. So and then lot 2 and lot 3 down towards the bottom. It's just basically slightly reconfiguring those lots to remove that triangular piece shape, just to square off the lots for potential sales. No other real reason. It is in the R60 district, and we have appropriate size and frontage and access for all the lots. So relatively minor changes to these lots. Do you have any questions?
I do not have any questions. Charlie?
No, is the lot line, the new lot line, going back to the former one that's at the top of the page? Do either of those lots have a structure on them?
Not the J and K, no. Not lot 1. The one below that listed as Richard and Christine England does, but that's not being affected.
Where is it in relationship to the new lot line?
It is that it was never conveyed, nothing was ever conveyed on that new lot line, lot J, but the house meets setbacks for the existing lot, the Richard and Christine England lot.
Shouldn't the structure be noted on this?
It's my opinion it should be.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was just looking at Google Earth and I see the house on it. So I would think that the structure should be noted on this A&R with the measurements from the structure to the lot line noted.
We can add that. So you're talking the structure on that, the lot below the cursor right now. Yes.
If there are other structures on any of these lots, they should be shown in accordance with the rules and regs.
Okay, but the one with the structures is not being modified. It was just for reference, the one with the structure is not being changed at all. What you see as former lot J was never conveyed in any way to that property, if that makes a difference.
But if maybe I'm just misunderstanding you. So the dotted line that runs underneath where it says former lot line and above former lot J, that dotted line is no more, and the solid line below that is the new lot line. Is that correct?
No, that solid line is an existing lot line that has never changed. There was actually a former lot J created that was unbuildable and was potentially going to be conveyed to the England property, but it never was. So that line right you're pointing to is the existing lot line, and it's not changing. That line has never changed. I mean, we can certainly add that dwelling, but I'm not sure that it's a particular requirement, as that lot line right there is not changing and never has.
So lots K and J are under the same ownership at this point in time?
Correct. Yes, it was, J was never conveyed to the England property.
So in
It
effect,
just-
there are no changes for that.
Well, if they're under the same,
What you're really doing by this plan then is combining lots K and J into one lot. Is that correct?
correct. Back to the original lot when it was purchased.
By survey, have you by any chance located the structure on the Fiocchi property?
I do not know if we've located the entire structure. I know we've located some front corners along over Jordan, but not 100% sure we've surveyed that entire structure.
Okay, it would be good to know where it was, but if the lot line hasn't changed and you're not doing anything with the lot, did you provide any deeds or anything with the application?
Yes, they're on the plan to the right. All the different, those books and pages are there, deed references.
Scroll back up so I can see the top of that page again.
So the purpose of this remaining lot 1035 detail is just for when you look at lots 2 and 3, there is a larger lot behind that. So that was just to show,
All right.
show the extent of that 1035-D lot. That's all that's for.
Mr. Chairman, you're going on the basis of what you've been told. Apparently there is no dwelling apparently on combined lots K and J. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, it is a vacant lot.
Just open land?
Yes.
Right. The regulations don't say that you need to show abutting houses. I would say that they would if they were modifying the lot line. If they're not, and they're confident that that's the existing lot line and nothing's being done to the Fiocchi property, then I would say you're okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Charlie. Any board member have any input on this?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to vote to endorse or deny 6-22 approval not required, 5 over Jordan Road and 172-176 Great Neck Road, TJP Realty Trust, map 20, lots 1035-D, 1019C4, and 1051.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sam Corbett, seconded by Jane Gleason. Sam?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Mike Baptiste?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 401.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a
vote.
question? We have two applicants for the positions on the planning board. They're both here and they're not on the agenda. Can we make a decision what we're going to do with these two women? I mean, rather than stay on all night and wait and then us have no action on it.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's an appointing committee meeting Wednesday to interview the two applicants and address that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So
for
I
the
don't
info.
know if it would, yeah, I don't know if it would be prudent for us to act on something like that tonight before the appointing committee gets a chance to
I
interview.
did not
them.
know it was scheduled.
Okay.
Mr.
Item
Chairman,
number 4, a vote. I'm sorry.
someone has their hand up. I mean, it's not public here or anything, public comment, but you could do what you want with that.
And that is on what is voted on, or we don't know?
I don't know what it's
No,
pertaining
see,
to.
yeah.
They just raised
Yeah.
their hand like a couple minutes ago, so I'm unsure what it's for, but
Okay. I think in the interest of keeping things moving, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
sounds good.
Agreed.
Item number 4, vote or determination. 39-21 site plan review, 59 Main Street, Warren OEZ LLC, map 47, lots 1124, 1125, 1126, 6,500 foot restaurant, 26 by 60 pavilion, 1,500 square foot commercial yellow space. Request modification to special permit. I went
So
to the
moved.
documentation on this on the website, Aaron, and I couldn't find it.
I didn't see a submittal for this modification. Ken told me this was happening, but I didn't see any updated plans or anything. I think I got the gist of explaining what was happening, but I leave that to Bill to talk about the specifics of what's going on with that.
All right, I'm happy to chime in on it. I guess, we don't actually have the plan prepared at this point in time. I think that the applicant is evaluating a couple of different proposals that would involve a change to the site plan that has been previously approved. I mean, one of them was a reconfiguration of let's call it the commercial building that was on the far right, left-hand side rather of the site. As we looked at it, there was a desire to extend that by about 10 feet and to place another story on the top of it. That was our initial discussion that we had. And then I think we had a subsequent discussion very late last week that talked about modifying some of the building pavilion. So I think in the absence of having a defined plan that we're asking you for, perhaps a little direction for the applicant might be in order about what would be considered, a significant change. I think I have an idea in my mind. I'm pretty sure that you must have some in yours. I mean, if we're moving something a foot or two, or even 10 feet, that might not be considered significant. I think that, changing the size and the scope of a building might have a little bit of a different point of evaluation from the planning board. So I don't know how to really, direct this whole conversation forward, other than, is there some ground rules that we could evaluate to make the determination ourselves as to whether the change is going to be considered substantial or significant. Perhaps you could tell me what you guys think about, taking one of the buildings that was approved at 1,500 feet, and if we're expanding it to 2,000 and adding another story, and we're changing the pavilion to a different type structure. You might have an opinion on those two things there. None of the things, well, I shouldn't say none of the things, I suppose that the addition of a square foot on a building may also add some parking requirements, but as part of the whole evaluation of a substantial change, I think that would be our goal, to try to minimize those impacts, but unfortunately, I don't have a plan. I was asked to see what we could come up with on that, and just in an effort to move it forward. I think that there's a reasonable degree of certainty that that plan will change in the plan that was previously approved. And, you know, it seems to me that it might be a little bit more than a modest change, so. But I have nothing conclusive to present to you, which I apologize for.
Well, I can't speak for the others, but I think for myself, first of all, is it my interconnection that's really bad, or is it yours? Because you break up horribly. So if someone can fill me in on where I need to upgrade my router.
Mike, you've been breaking up too.
I did manage. Okay, so it must be my connection, which I'm surprised because I'm sitting right above my router. But for me, the lack of any concrete information as far as the proposal for change is kind of a problem. And considering, if I heard you correctly, you mentioned something about a second story on the 1,500 square foot retail space, which I would consider a pretty major change. So I don't know. I mean, all this is only a week or two after we approved the plan, so I'm not sure what drives these changes so fast.
It seems that
Anybody can't
Yeah.
understand me.
it sounds like the building changes that are sort of in the offing, but are not anything concrete on paper yet, could have an effect on the amount of parking needed. And the circulation around the site would then be affected. So I think there's going to be some judgment call as to the magnitude of the change, but it sounds like if parking needs to change and the footprint increases dramatically, that we probably should look at it.
Yeah, and if I understood you correctly, Bill, not only was there a proposal for a second story on the retail space, but a change in what was planned for the pavilion. What exactly was the thought as far as what the change would be?
Well, the most recent change that I saw involved making the pavilion like a little bit more of a structure of a building with 4 sides and 4 walls on it. And then attached to that, there would be a deck, but it would involve 2 stories as well. I think it involves something on the first floor or ground floor, let's call it, and then one that would be on the upper level. But you know, I just went over with the applicant designer earlier today, a sketch that indicated that, but that was really the limit of it. So the building would be pretty close to the same size, but the configuration, the shape of it and the use of it may be a little bit different than the pavilion use that was originally proposed.
Yeah.
Mr.
Again,
Chairman.
I can't speak for the other board members, but I think I can say that I would consider this pretty serious modifications from what was approved.
I couldn't agree more, Mike. I think this is dramatic. I think it changes the entire project. And quite frankly, I'm not sure why we're discussing it. We have nothing to look at. We have nothing definitive. No offense, Bill, but this is kind of silly.
I agree. There should be something concrete to look at. You know, even if it's just rough artist renderings of what Dan has in mind for the changes. I don't see where discussing this any further until we can get some renderings of some sort makes any sense at all.
Yeah, we have them. They're over at the Historic Society meeting right now. I just left there, but they're loving what they're seeing over there.
Well, the thing is, Mike, I think what's happening is we have an initial concept or an idea what we're gonna see. And all of a sudden now it seems like we're flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
You know, we're putting the
I-
horse before the cart.
I'm fine with another meeting if we can get in person and you guys can see all this stuff.
Yeah,
it doesn't-
I would have to think that that would be the right thing to do is, you know, and I would prefer that if we do schedule, you know, for the next meeting out, that we don't get the renderings the day before or the day of. I'd like to, you know, see something a few days in advance so that we have time to digest it. I don't like last minute information.
Who would I bring the packets to? Because we have them all done.
Oh, well, I would assume the planning office would be the proper place to bring them.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
just bring
provide,
about
we'll
it.
provide Ken and Aaron, we'll provide Ken and Aaron with that information.
Okay.
Mike, could I interject
The,
here?
absolutely.
Yeah, Mike, I think it's appropriate to get the plans in, but then when they get submitted through the planning office, my suggestion would be put it on the agenda so that you can look at it, because you're gonna need to make a decision whether it's a minor change or a substantial change. If it's a minor change, you can go ahead and look at it without a public hearing. If you consider it as a moderate, a major change, then you need to set a date and advertise for a public hearing. But that's a vote that you,
Right, and
once
and
you
we-
see what the plan looks like.
right,
I
so
think
we
we
would
should
have to
probably just
reopen the
do
public
that.
hearing.
Well, you'd advertise a new public hearing as a modification to the existing special permit, but that's only after you've seen the plan and made a
Yeah.
decision as to whether or not that you think the changes are major or minor.
Okay.
Or
Right,
substantial.
okay. So do we, so if we reschedule this for the 28th, Bill, is that too soon?
I don't think it's too soon. If, as Dan stated, if the packages are available, then there should be no reason why we can't get something to Ken by the first part of next week. And what's that? That's, we're talking 2 weeks from today is the 28th, is that right?
Correct.
So if we provide it a week in advance to the planning department, I would hope that that is adequate time for a quick review. If you need more time, just let us know. We'll do what we can to get it to you.
Yeah, no, I
But
think we'll
the
be ahead
28th
of
is
the-
fine, I
the
think.
meeting with-
Bill, do you see any,
Okay.
see any changes in your end?
On the civil side of things?
Yeah.
I don't think, you know, absolutely would prefer not to change anything with respect to parking or stormwater management. I think it's really configuration of building and location of building more so than anything else right now, from what I've seen to date.
Yeah. But are you going to present any information with respect to, for example, the number of parking spaces required as opposed to what you have? How many would be additional employees, that sort of thing, so the board will have some sort of a basis for judgment? I don't think just the size of the building is necessarily enough, is all I'm saying.
No, I agree with you 100%. It's all part and parcel with what you
Okay.
folks need to evaluate. So no, it would be complete. And we would identify the full impact of any of the plan changes in parking, pedestrian access, utilities, all the above.
Okay.
Okay, so hearing that, I would entertain a motion. Do I have to ask Bill for a formal request for extension?
I don't believe you have to, we don't have to give you anything. I think just place us on the agenda for the 28th and that should be fine. This is not a formal application.
Right. Okay,
Hey, thanks,
So,
everyone.
I
I'm
would-
gonna go back to the other meeting. Thank you.
thank you. Having heard that, I would entertain a motion to place 39-21 site plan review for 59 Main Street on the agenda for March 28th, 2022. Second,
Second, you there, Mike?
got to upgrade my router again. Motion by Mike Baptiste. Take a vote. Sam Corbett,
Aye.
Jane Gleason,
I,
Mike Baptiste,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, 401. Thank you very much, Bill. Vote or determination, next up, Wareham Crossing Target Retail request modification to a special permit. I got this real late. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I mean, I got this for the first time at like 2 o'clock this afternoon, which wasn't the greatest. Is there someone here for the applicant?
Yes. I'm Case Lieberman with Kimley Horn, and I am the civil engineer representing Target. I sent this in a month ago, so I'm a little surprised by that.
Do we have a clarification? I mean, if it came in a month ago, I'm fine with discussing it. If it came in today, you know the way I feel. I wouldn't discuss it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when you saw it, Sam, but that's when I saw it. I literally saw it at 2 o'clock.
Exactly.
It was sent in on February 16th.
Aaron, can you fill us in on that?
I think Ken might have received this. I don't think I was the one that had received this, but Ken could probably clarify for me.
Yes, this was received about a month ago.
Okay, so was it just a clerical oversight that it wasn't forwarded to the board?
Apparently so. Without clerical in the office, it hadn't occurred.
Yeah, I know you're short staffed with Sonia being out and all. I quite honestly, with all due respect to the applicant, I would request that we continue this till the 28th to give the board some time to actually review this.
I'm not 100% sure if we can afford that with our schedule right now, but let me just.
I think you can have the presentation of the concept at this time.
As long as the applicant isn't looking for a vote tonight, I'm okay with that.
I'll make the motion to reschedule.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to reschedule Wareham Crossing Target Retail, request for modification to special permit. We have a second, Mike Baptiste, a motion with Sam Corbett. I would entertain moving this to the 28th meeting, although it is starting to fill up. So as long as the applicant understands that.
I think you could listen to the concept at this time, though, and have a presentation by the engineer.
is there a reason why we can't listen to a presentation of what this is about so that our review of it can be a little bit more informed?
We certainly can. I think it goes some frustration with being asked up time on the board's meeting on subjects that are dropped in our the second list of the reason for the last minute information.
Yeah.
It's quite honestly, it's a little bit on the frustrating side.
Mr. Chair, I agree 100%. Like you, I got it late this afternoon. I'm never going to vote for something that comes in on Monday. You can put that on our website. I'm not going to vote on something or take a presentation on something I haven't even read yet. It's frustrating. I'm sorry to the applicants, but I'm tired of it. I don't know how many things I got today on the text, probably 8. And sometimes I just can't get to it in time.
Yeah. Ken, we don't have we don't have a time constraint on this where if we put it off till the 28th, we're gonna have a problem.
No, no time constraint problem. Only the time constraint problem is theirs.
Big time.
Okay. All right. Having said that, I think I would act on the motion to continue to the 28th. So a motion by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. We'll take a vote. Sam,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, 401. I apologize for the delay that is being caused, but for us to act in the town's best interest, I think we need to be completely informed, and in this case, we're not. So we'll put this out. We've got the information now, so we'll have a chance to review it, and we'll be ready to address this properly on the 28th.
Okay, sounds good. Is it possible at all just to have this pushed to the front of the agenda just under these circumstances?
I have no issue with that. Aaron, do you see a problem with that? If we have it as item number 1?
No, we can do that for sure.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
that.
Yeah, we can certainly accommodate that. Okay, item number 6 under preliminary business, possible vote for 40-21 definitive subdivision plan, 140 Tohonet Road, AD Makepeace Company, care of GAF Engineering. Map 111, lots 1000F, 1000H1, and 1000H2, 3-lot subdivision. Bill, I know you're here.
I am.
You got a full plate tonight.
Yeah. I didn't think there was any other information that was needed by the board. You know, the plan was filed some time ago. Think that we met the requirements for the filing and what have you. And I just thought we were waiting to continue it to this evening for a vote. And I'm not aware of anything outstanding that was required of us.
No, I didn't believe so either, but I didn't want to cheat you out of the opportunity to speak if it needed to happen. Charlie, do you see anything that has possibly changed or not been addressed that we should be concerned about?
I'm not aware of anything, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so having said that, I would entertain a motion to vote on 40-21, 140 Tohonet Road.
So moved.
Motion by Sam Corbett. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Sam Corbett, seconded by Jane Gleason. We'll take a vote to approve or disapprove. I'm going to pose it as a vote to approve. Sam,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Mike.
Was the public hearings closed, Mike, before we vote on
Public
this?
hearings, yeah, the public hearings were closed at the last meeting.
Okay, aye.
And the chair votes aye, 401 to approve. Item 7, same applicant, 41-21 definitive subdivision plan, 150 Tohonet Road, AD Makepeace Company, care of GAF Engineering, map 111 and 112, lots 1000B, 1000C, and 1000, 3-lot subdivision. Just to clarify, this is all in the interest of zoning regulation freeze. I'm assuming, Charlie, that we're dealing with the same thing here. Nothing has changed since our last meeting, and this is simply a formality of a vote.
Is that direct? That's how I see it, Mike, that's what it was.
Yeah, I directed that at Charlie. I value Charlie's input dramatically on this. He's the seasoned veteran here. And I'm the rookie who's still learning how to do this. Okay, having said that, I would entertain a vote posed as to approve 41-21 definitive subdivision plan for 150 Tohonet Road. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Motion by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. This would be a vote to approve. Sam?
Aye.
Jane?
Right?
Mike Baptiste?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-1 to approve.
Thanks very much.
Item number 8, possible vote 42-21 definitive subdivision plan, 27 Charge Pond Road, 80 Makepeace Company, care of Beals and Thomas. Map 110, lots 1015, 1016, and 1024, 3-lot subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. The vote will be to approve.
Correct.
Sam?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-1 to approve. All right. Possible vote, excuse me, 43-21 definitive subdivision plan, 0 Maple Springs, 80 Makepeace Company, care of Beals and Thomas. Map 111, lots 1010, 1011, 1012, 1013, 1014, 1015, and LC6, 3-lot subdivision.
So moved.
And again, these
Second.
motion to approve by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. Sam?
Aye.
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-1 to approve. Item 10, possible vote 45-21 definitive subdivision plan, 370 County Road. Intro Energy LLC, care of Prime Engineering, Inc., map 6465, lot 1006, 1008, 1009, 1010, and 1000 A, B, and 1001, 2-lot subdivision. Again, this is for zoning freeze, does not give the applicant the implied rights to do anything other than create the subdivision plan.
So moved, Mike.
Second.
I have a motion from Sam, second from Mike Baptiste. Take a vote to approve. Sam?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-1 to approve. Item number 11, possible vote 46-21 definitive subdivision plan, 1-13 North Carver Road, LSC Toscana LSC, care of Prime Engineering, map 103, lots 1037, 1038, 1039, 2-lot subdivision. Again, just to clarify, this is strictly for zoning freeze. It does not give the applicant any implied rights to construct anything further than just creating the subdivision. A motion to approve.
Aye. So moved.
Second.
You have a motion to approve by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. Take a vote to approve. Sam?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-1 to approve. Continued public hearings. So again, 33-21 Zero Route 25 has asked for a continuance. So I would entertain a motion to accept their request and place them on the agenda for our next meeting, which is March 28, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jane Gleason, seconded by Sam Corbett.
One question, please.
Certainly.
Was this requested today?
No,
This was requested, I think I got the notice from Aaron yesterday.
it was
For-
it was
For
requested.
Sunday?
It was requested on the 10th.
Yeah, for 33-21, this one was earlier, like
Last week.
James said, last week, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, a vote to grant the continuance till the 28th. Sam,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 401 to continue to March 28, 2022. Hearing and possible vote, 36-21, modification of special permit, site plan review, Bay Point Club LLC, Phase 4, 19 Bay Point Drive, map 9, lots 1004B and 1004A-1-7, new 8-unit townhouse buildings. This also requested a continuance. This one I know for a fact came in today, correct, Aaron?
Yes, that is correct.
We're really starting to fill up the 28th. Are we running into a potential problem with the agenda for the 28th?
I don't think you will after lots of the approvals that just kind of happened. I think you'll be okay on the 28th.
Okay, you don't feel that maybe we should push Bay Point out to the next meeting past that?
No, I don't think so. From what I can think of what's going to be on the agenda for next week, I think the 28th will do just fine for Bay Point.
Okay. I'm assuming they pushed it out because we didn't get a response to the questions that we posed.
I'm not sure about that. I think there was some other information that they were trying to go through with Charlie, but I'm sure Charlie can speak to that himself.
Mike, it had nothing to do with Phase 4. They had submitted I don't know whether I should talk about it now. I can if you want, since you're on Bay Point.
Sure.
They had submitted a cost estimate for Phase 2, which is under construction right now. The original cost estimate had no unit numbers. It had no quantities listed. So I simply kicked it back to Chris Reynolds and said, give us the information. And he finally did, gave me the information, but then they were looking for a tri-town agreement. It's my opinion that that information, once it's put together, should be submitted for your board to look at. At that time, I would give you a recommendation on the cost that's involved. But to date, you've received no information like that to be put on the agenda. So I felt that it was only appropriate to get back to them and say, hey, put your stuff together, put it in a request so you can get on the agenda, because it's not a part of Phase 4, it's Phase 2. And that's where we stand.
Okay, very good. Do you think that you'll, well, of course, it's a rhetorical question because I know you have no way of answering it, but do you think that we'll have that information from them in sufficient time that we can actually review it and be prepared for the 28th?
Well, I think they ought to, if they want for you to look at a tri-party agreement to get the format, they sent through one that was for the first phase, which is fine to look at, but it's not up to date, hasn't been documented with the appropriate plan references or any new dates or anything like that. So I don't know why then it's not putting that together. And if they do that, and give you a few days' notice and not drop it in your lap on the 28th, then it's probably something that could be taken care of. But
Yeah.
I think I don't see it as in my purview to authorize any such stuff like that before it comes to you.
Okay, very well. I think in this particular case where the applicant has a habit of the last minute request for continuances, that we make it clear to the Aaron, that we definitely want that information well ahead of the meeting. And that if it arrives on the Monday of the meeting, that we're not going to entertain discussing it.
Yep, I can let them know that tomorrow.
Michael, is that
Okay.
something that we're gonna think about sending to town council?
I'm not quite sure. Charlie, would council even really have a reason to review that?
Well, it's been the practice to send any kind of a tri-party agreement to town council review for format and for content. But
Yeah.
the board, of course, has more evidence as to what should be in that content for phases 2 and 3. So I think you
Okay.
need to see it and read it, make sure that what's in there is suitable. And if it is, then if you see fit, you can forward it to town council, let him approve it, and then he can take it, then the applicant can take it to his bank.
Okay.
I think that's what is
I'm
intended. So,
I'm just thinking to myself, if that's the route that we have to take, where the board has to review it and then potentially send it to council for his review and approval, I don't see where that's all going to happen in time for the 28th. I mean, it seems like Rich is a busy guy.
I'm not suggesting that'll happen. What I'm saying is if they get a document to you, which is a proposed tri-party agreement, I will give you, which I already have, I have some numbers for the cost estimate, but those are something that, again, you're going to have to debate because they've given you some raw numbers. You're going to have to decide if the final number is going to be appropriate, given the fact that you've got cost of living rises, you've got prevailing wages to consider, you've got rises in materials that are out there these days. So who knows what the number is without giving it some evaluation. So
Yeah.
all of that, I think, needs to come to your board for a decision. And once you do that, then the tri-party agreement can go into the town council review. Once he's approved it, then all those documents can be given to his bank and he can go about securing his loan, whatever he's going to do.
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion.
So certainly,
I'd
absolutely.
like to
What's up,
deny
sir?
the request for continuance.
Should we deny the request for continuance, Aaron? What's the consequences on both
Chair, I'm
sides?
just tired of Bay Point turning stuff in Monday morning, Monday afternoon at 3:45. They're incomplete. They're at the last minute. The questions we've asked don't get answered. I'm just tired of dealing with them. I want to send a message, make it clear. Have your stuff together, have it here on time, give us time to review it, have the proper numbers. We've been going on with this for months and months with the same problems with the same person. And I think we ought to draw a line in the sand. Say, have it done right, have all the information right, get it to us on time early enough so we can look at it.
If you don't continue it, you have to close the hearing at this time. Which
I
means you
understand
can't
that.
accept any more information.
I understand that.
Um,
Michael, it's to make a point.
Yeah,
And I don't
I
expect
agree.
it to pass, Mike. I don't expect it to pass, but I want to send a message to these people. I personally am tired of it.
I would have to agree with you 100%, Sam. I think that this is how they do business, or at least in my opinion, my humble opinion. I think the only reason that I would personally not suggest denying it and closing the public hearing is there seems to be a lot of input from the current residences of phase 1.
Exactly.
We had outpouring of letters. And if we close the public hearing, we shut them out. And I'm not quite sure that that's the right thing to do.
How can we write on phase 2, 3, or 4 when one's not complete?
Well, I agree.
I think we need to send a message, get your
and I
stuff
think-
together. I'm sorry, Mike.
No, trust me, I'm every bit as frustrated about this as you are. I don't like the last second, either coming with no information or not showing up for the hearing at all, asking for continuance. It just clogs up our agenda.
Exactly.
But if we deny and close the public hearing, I think we're doing a disservice to the residences that want to be heard. And reading through the letters that all of these residents have submitted, I read all of them today, even though they came in today. I think these folks have a legitimate concern with the development, and if we close the public hearing, we're going to shut them out. And I'm not quite sure that that's.
I understand all that is to make a point. Is to make a point that next time this happens on a Monday, I wish we'd all vote no, don't continue. They come in with information that's incomplete. We vote no, don't continue, close the hearing, get it right, and get it done. I mean, I got the same letters. I read them. I agree with a lot of the comments they've made. They've made promises they haven't kept. They need to finish phase 1 before we should consider anything else. And once that's done, finish phase 2. When that's done, move forward. But we have to make a point with these people. My motion was just to make a point, Mike.
Yep.
I
No, I
understand
understand.
concern.
And honestly, I don't disagree with you.
I know you don't.
I agree 100%.
I can add a little bit to that if I can, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Initially, when phase 1 was approved, it was approved. I'm not sure whether it ended up in the final vote, but initially, nothing was to go beyond phase 1 until it was fully completed.
Correct.
But there was further negotiation, and I think was put in the special permit ultimately that they could go into phase 2 and 3 because they didn't have that much control over what the demand was going to be for the type of units they were putting up. So they wanted that flexibility. However, it did include provision for making sure that certain improvements were completed before a complete sign-off was done on phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that this whole thing is still under one special permit. It's had a couple of modifications to it, but it's still under that special permit. And they do have the right to go into phases 2 and 3 as they see fit. That's not to say that you can't address the issues if there are some that are outstanding and get some sort of a time frame on when some of these corrections will be made. But they do have that flexibility in the permit that they hold right now.
Okay.
Your comment, Sam, notwithstanding. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, believe me.
I guess the best thing for us to do today, Sam, would be to vote on the continuance
I
and send a
agree.
message and
agree
to
with
send
Bob's
a
motion.
message to them. Well, I think what we should do is vote to continue, or at least that's my opinion. I mean, you're certainly free to vote in any way you see fit, and that we send a message to Bay Point and say, don't stop wasting our time. Don't come back unless you're prepared. And prepared doesn't mean dropping off documents to the planning board or the clerk at 9 o'clock on a Monday of a meeting. That doesn't qualify as prepared. And
I
if it
agree.
happens
Well, the
again,
motion was made
at the next meeting, at the next meeting, then we close the public hearing and we take a vote to either approve or deny, and then we'll let the chips fall where they may.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Of course.
If we're gonna continue it to the 28th, does that give them enough time to come back with everything that we need to make a decision prior to that meeting on the 28th? If not,
No,
I don't think we should give them just 2 weeks.
No, I have to agree. I don't think the 28th is the smart choice. I would put it out to the next meeting, which would be what, April 11th?
Yes, that's the next meeting after
So
that one.
If you're looking to send a message,
I would vote.
if you're looking to
Well,
send a
but-
message, maybe we put it out a couple of meetings.
Agreed.
We could do that. I certainly, but again, me personally, I really don't have an issue with that. Like we've discussed in the past, we're all busy people, myself included, and, having my Mondays wasted by someone who's not prepared, especially on a project of this size. I mean, we're not talking about, building an outbuilding on a small piece of property. I mean, this is a huge project. And it's going to affect the town, for years to come. So for them to be this unprepared this many times is a little concerning for me. So
And they're making 7 people on this call wait. So
right, and there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people that have very legitimate concerns about this. So. Hearing the board's comments, I think what I would do is I would entertain a motion to continue 36-21, 19 Bay Point Drive to the agenda and move it to the agenda for the planning board for April 25. That'll give them more than enough time to get their information together, as long as we're not Aaron, we're not blowing any deadlines that we need to be concerned about.
How can, Mike, can we add for a final public hearing?
Well, I mean, we can definitely vote to close the public hearing that day.
Okay. I'm just trying to move this forward, give them enough time to do it right, and just make a decision one way or the other and do it right.
Yeah, no,
I hate to keep saying it, but I'm tired of these people.
I would suggest that you probably want some some feedback from what they propose, and then to go to a close of the hearing. So I would suggest you do April 11th and April 25th for the final.
Well, we last meeting we submitted some after the last meeting we submitted some questions. Oh, Carl had quite a few. And I've yet to see any feedback from them on those questions.
what
So,
about the 25th and
maybe
the
they
9th?
do need the. I'm sorry, Jane. That I could hear you. It broke up.
What about the 25th and the 9th? The 25th of April and the 9th of May.
Oh, as far as the 9th being proposed final.
Hmm.
I'm fine with that.
Charlie, Charlie, are we crossing any lines here that I should be aware of before we move forward with this?
Well, it's unfortunate that an applicant representative isn't here so that they can at least hear your discussion, a little bit of input. I would suggest that you continue it to the last meeting in April with some sort of indication to them as to what your expectations are for the 25th, if that's what the date is. And not say anything about closing the hearing, because you don't know exactly what it is you're going to be voting on right now. So I would suggest that you give them time to submit final information that they want to have you to vote on in well in advance of the 25th. That would give me a time to review it, get a report into you. It would give you a time to review the information, and then you can make a decision as to whether you want to move one way or the other that night, or whether you want to give them a continuance till the 9th. But I wouldn't suggest a final vote date until you know what you really got.
Okay, that makes sense. So having said that, I think what I would do is entertain a motion to grant continuance for 36-21 19 Bay Point Drive to the agenda of the planning board meeting scheduled for April 25th, 2022, with the expectation that the planning office dispatch a letter to the applicant stating that expect them to be prepared with all and complete information. If there's any questions on their part, they need to submit them to the planning office well in advance. And we expect all of their information in our hands well in advance of that meeting, so that we can move forward with this one way or another.
Yeah, Mike, if I could just make one other comment about that. It's unfortunate that you get the kind of continuances that you do without any real explanation as to why. If it's a legitimate reason for an
Right.
it's only fair to you and your board members that you know what that reason really is. And if it's that they need an extra 2 weeks to finish a revision of the site plan, which they were going to do based on the vote you took last time, that's a legitimate reason for an extension. But to just arbitrarily say, we want an extension, not give you a reason why, is not fair to you or the other people that come on the Zoom meeting to presumably listen to a public hearing. So maybe that could be conveyed.
Correct. I agree. And to be honest, with a project of this magnitude, they had to have known well before this morning that they weren't going to be prepared for tonight. So, the last second request is irritating, to say the least.
That's a good point, Charlie.
Mr. Chairman, one of the things about the process requires that there be some back and forth where Charlie will get a chance to review it. And Charlie doesn't always make decisions on his own in this case because he wants some feedback from the planning board as to what your intentions are in the project. So it requires a couple of stages here. One with the engineers talking to each other, and then a review by the planning board, and then another iteration to respond to the will of the planning board in that process. So it's not necessarily cut and dry that you'll have everything done by April 25th, which is town meeting, by the way. It makes some sense that you have an interim meeting in between if you want to try to get it done by some time by the end of April or so.
Well, I don't think it's a rush to get it done, to be quite honest. I think it's okay getting us the information that we request so that we can make a legitimate and informed decision. And to date, that hasn't been happening. So I don't know about the other board members, but I'm certainly not in a rush to get this done. I think if anybody should be in a rush, it should be Bay Point Club.
I'm not saying it's a
us.
rush. I'm not saying it's a rush. What I'm saying is there's a process involved, and it takes several steps in between to come to a decision.
Well, at the last meeting, the representative who was here said that they wanted a continuance so that they could revise the plan based on your vote on the size of the parking spaces. And they were also going to look, I think memory serves me correctly, that they wanted to look into the requirement for complying with the Architectural Access Board for handicap ramps and accessible routes. So that's still in their plate, and I haven't seen anything on it. So until that comes in, there won't be anything that I can give you any more information on it. You're as well informed on it as I am at this point. So I would say to continue with what you've got, giving them notice that you expect to have documentation and to present the information to you and see where it goes. Like you say, there are people out there who have legitimate concerns. There are unanswered questions in previous summaries that I gave you. Some comments were unresponsive. There's been no dialogue with the board on that. So there's a lot that you've got to consider at this point.
Charlie, I agree, and I'm tired of it, quite frankly.
I hear you. So that's my only case to try and move it along, is to make it clear that if they want to come back on whatever date you decide, be prepared to discuss the project in full and see where it goes. That's the only thing you can do.
I hope they're watching.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think moving it to the 28th, the 25th and giving them more than ample time to get their ducks in a row is a good compromise from closing the public hearing and because I don't think it's going to go the way they want it to go. So again, I would entertain a motion to move 36-21 9 Bay Point Drive to the agenda. Do we in fact have a meeting for the 25th, Aaron?
With the schedule of the meetings, I would assume so. I mean, I know it's town meeting, so I don't know if we're gonna have to change the time on it. But maybe Ken can chime in there.
Sometimes you'll have meetings before town meeting on those nights, but that's
Yeah.
unusual. Usually that's
Can we
set for the
schedule-
articles before town
Can-
meeting.
But the point is, that we're talking about Bay Point. We're not going to decide that in an hour or two.
Right.
So we have to
Can
have
we
enough
can we
time for
schedule
them
an
to have a final
off-cycle
presentation.
meeting?
I'm sorry.
I think, yes, you can schedule an alternate meeting if you would like. Since Monday, I think we might have to coordinate with, just in case it's whether it's in person or whatnot, we might have to first coordinate with WCTV to make sure they would have staffing for that day before we decided on a date. But we could work that out tomorrow. So you could just continue it in the motion. I'm not sure how you'd word it correctly, but something like continuing until, a date to be determined by the planning office or agreements with the board or something like that.
All right, well, since April 20th looks like it's not going to be available to us, what if we do this? How about to continue to the first available planning board in May, whether that be the 2nd or whether it be the 9th? Leaves it open. Can we do that?
You need to continue it to a date certain, Mike. That is for sure.
Yeah, the first meeting
A date
in
certain.
May would be May 9th.
May 9th, okay. So that would give them basically 2 months to get their ducks in a row. So I would entertain a motion to move 36-20-21 modification of special permit 19 Bay Point Drive, the planning board agenda for May 9, 2022.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mike and Jane, you don't need to fight.
Jane can have it. That's okay. I'm nice.
So we'll take a vote move to May 9. Sam?
Aye.
Jane?
I,
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-0.
Mr.
May
Chairman,
9 it is. Hopefully they'll, yes?
it's clarification on this one. Phase 2 and phase 3 are not continued because they're not under public hearing. So the performance bond may come in before the May 9th as well, just to make you, just to warn you of what the process involves.
Okay, and if the performance comes in before the 9th, what does that mean to us?
That's just something you'll have to take up as a part of the agenda.
Okay, all right. Noted. So noted. Continued public hearings for all the folks that were here with us tonight for a point. I apologize that's being put out further, but I think in the interest of doing the right thing by the town, I think that is the right thing to do. So hopefully May 9 Bay Point will be in front of us with their information in hand and ready to discuss this professionally. Continued public hearings, item number 3 on the agenda for Hearing a possible vote, 38-21 definitive subdivision plan for 69 Great Neck Road, David Andrade, map 41, lots 1019-6, 1019, a 6-lot subdivision. Is there someone here for the applicant?
Chairman, Ken Motta from Field Engineering, here representing Dave Andrade. And I see Dave Andrade's on the screen too as well. Subsequent to our last discussion on this on this application on the 28th, what we've done is we've updated the current subdivision plans to reflect the comments that received from Dave Menard over at Municipal Maintenance, and also incorporated some of the some of the topics that we discussed at the last meeting, regarding the street tree plantings and the voluntary no-touch buffer zone around the back of lots 4, 5, and 6. And you should have in your packets the March 10th letter that really goes into detail of the nature of all of the plan edits that were made to the current plan set that you have on file there. So we've also worked out the come full circle with Charlie as far as the technical issues going regarding the drainage. And I'll certainly have Charlie chime in on that. I think we're really down to, if you recall, we had a lengthy discussion about the street light that we were initially proposing at the intersection of the roadway. And after thinking of the logistics of how that would, how we could make that happen with having a private mast arm on a public utility pole, it becomes very cumbersome in a situation where the maintenance of the light is going to be the responsibility of the association within the subdivision. So to change a light bulb, for example, the association would have to have their own electrician obtain a permit from the whoever the owner of the pole is, whether it's Eversource or Verizon. I'm not 100% sure who does own those poles. And it becomes almost unattainable that if we couldn't make that happen, then we would have to come back before the planning board and request a modification to whatever approval that the planning board did vote on. As an alternate to that, and I believe we touched on this at the meeting, was that we would, on lot 1, we would make a provision in the covenant that lot 1 have 2 driveway lanterns, one being placed at the access driveway to lot 1, and the second one being placed at the intersection of the new roadway with Great Neck Road. And I think that would, it would serve the same purpose. I mean, and would be a far less cumbersome than trying to pursue, getting a mast arm on the public road. Now, Mike, I believe you were going to look into this somewhat on your own. If you, feel free to chime in on what you were able to find out. But that's basically what our conclusions ended up being on the light post.
Yeah, I did inquire with an acquaintance of mine who has been with the electrical company for almost 40 years, and basically a straight added to a pole is take the cars, and those lights are actually billed. If I understood them correctly, every street light in town is billed to the town, whether it's burning or not. So if you drive by a street lamp that's out, the town still pays for that light regardless. And I believe it's the town who's responsible.
A while ago, the town says they would not support any more streetlights. I think in the last 20 years or 10 years, we have not requested a streetlight at an intersection on a subdivision. We entertained the streetlights in front of the homes, individually on the lots, but not on the intersections.
Yeah. Well, I can say, again, I don't want to beat a dead because I mentioned this at the last meeting. The small neighborhood that I live in off of Farm to Market Road is a bigger subdivision to this. It was a 15 home subdivision with one entry onto Farm to Market Road. And it has a single 6x6 decorative lamp post at the entrance with one burning lamp. I mean, it was attractive because it had a sign that introduced the neighborhood and all, but that was basically the street light at the end of the road. And it was more than sufficient. It lit the end of the road as you come down Farm to Market. It was very visible. The only thing that I would say is I would shy away from putting a solar powered light in that position. I think that it should be hardwired. And I only say that because reading a lot of the comment letters from the folks at 8 Point Phase 1, it seems like they all have concerns about the quality of the illumination of the solar powered lights. So if we were going to go down this road, I would think that, a hardwired single decorative lamp at the end of the road would be a good option as opposed to fighting the battle of getting a street light added to a pole. But that's my opinion. I mean, obviously the other planning board members are free to chime in on that particular subject. But
let me
I don't consider it to be
Let me make a
problem.
suggestion. I live in a newer development. What the contractor did here is put a light in front of each property, 18 properties, and it's wired to that house.
Yep.
And that person is responsible to change the light bulb. If there's any work to be done by electrician, it's done by the association. You'll also put an extra one at the end of the road that intersections, any intersection. And so far, 2 people have taken the lights out and put in more decorative lights, which is fine. Bigger, better, stronger. That was fine with the association. It's done all over town. It's been done for about a decade now. It looks nice. It's very easy to do. You can do it in-house without going to the power company, using their poles or anything. If come up to my house, I'll show you how it's done.
Yeah, no,
Mr. Chairman.
in the neighborhood that I was in was the same. There were no streetlights. It was just a lamp post at the end of the driveway of each residence. And this one here was the one that illuminated the entrance to the neighborhood that I was speaking about. That one's owned by the association, maintained by the association. So again, I think it's a reasonable replacement to fighting the battle for a lamp added to a light pole. I think it's going to it'll make the property look probably nicer to have a decorative lamp post as opposed to a conventional street light. And it's going to make life a lot easier for the applicant, and that's the way that we should go with it. I would certainly support that decision if the other board members were happy with that.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
I agree.
We had that language, that language is written in the draft covenants that we had, that we had submitted a while back to the board regarding the, hardwiring that into each of the homeowners' distribution panels and everything. And for the cost that it's going to be for a single, lamp post, it's not very much during the year. So rather than have the association or try to separate that the one light that's at the intersection as a responsibility of the association, we would just simply have that on the panel to the future homeowners of Lot 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I don't know if I was the homeowner for Lot 1 that's thrilled about it, but that's your call. As long as there's some sort of illumination at the entrance to the subdivision, I think that's really what we're after. How it's paid for is really not our concern.
Mhm.
I read through the letter, the response to the DPW, it all looks very positive. Charlie, do you have any other concerns or information that was not addressed?
No, I'm happy with it. I've discussed the drainage with Mr. Motta, and a couple of things about that they have stated that each house will have roof drains that will be put into dry wells, so that reduces the runoff from each of the lots. Apparently, they have decided that they would put up a 20-foot natural buffer on 3 of the lots, which I assume are the easterly side, Kenny.
Yes.
And with the type of drainage system that they have and the fact that they've uncovered at least the discharge point for the catch basins out on Great Neck Road, and that Dave Bernard is happy with what he's seen, I'm satisfied with the details that they have shown to date. So I guess just a comment with respect to the light. I know they're putting some low shrubbery and some decorative features out front. I don't know if they had any thoughts of a small sign that would be incorporated into the decorative shrubs or anything, but that along with the light post, I think would be a beautiful addition to it. But, the details of that is not necessarily an important item for the approval, but simply that just a comment to make. But I have no further comments on the subdivision plan itself. I'm satisfied with it.
Very cool. I will say, Ms. Motta, that you and Mr. Andrade have been exceptionally good to work with. You've taken all of Charlie's comments and concerns and acted on them, with really zero heartburn on our part. And I appreciate that. It's nice to work with someone who wants to be as cooperative with the town as the town wants Mr. N to succeed with this project. If there's no other concerns or comments from the board, I would entertain a motion to take a vote to approve the 21 definitive subdivision plan, 69 Great Neck Road. David Andrade, map 41, lots 10 and 19.
Mr. Chairman, just before you do that, you have to close the public hearing first.
Close.
And then,
I realized that as I was watching my notes. So we will take a motion or entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Before you do, Mike, why don't you ask and see if there's any
I'm
public
sorry,
comment?
did I? Okay. Is there anyone present at the meeting tonight that would like to comment on this 38-21 definitive subdivision plan? Don't see any hands. Aaron, am I missing anybody as far as hands?
nope, I don't see any.
I didn't. I got none of that.
Oh,
No hands?
no hands at all. No hands.
Okay. Okay. So seeing none and hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing for 38-21 definitive subdivision plan, 69 Great Neck Road.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste. Vote to approve. Sam?
Yes. So moved.
Jane?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, 4-0-0 to approve. Thank you very much, both Mr. Andrade and Mr. Mott. Like I said, it was a pleasure working with you, and wish you all the success on this project.
Likewise, thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
Item number 5, public hearings. Now, For hearing and possible vote, 2-22 site plan review, 3 Kendrick Road, 3 Kendrick Road LLC, map 108, lot 1006-C, Crumpet Manufacturing Facility. Is there someone here?
Mr. Chairman, I have the public hearing had, so let me just read that in real quick since it's a new public hearing. I'll do
Okay.
that real fast. The Wareham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on March 14th, 2022 at 6 p.m. via Zoom to consider petition number 2-22 for a site plan review under the requirements of Article 15, Section 1520 of the Wareham zoning bylaws to 3 Kendrick Road LLC, care of GAF Engineering of 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, proposing to construct a 6,000 square foot building addition with portions of the building used to manufacture crumpets located at 3 Kendrick Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, Assessors Map 108, Lot 1006-C in the Industrial Zoning District.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Do we have a representative for the applicant?
Bill Madden on behalf of 3 Kendrick Road LLC from GAF Engineering.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big building. Okay, go ahead and walk us through this, Bill.
Okay, this site is at 3 Kendrick Road. It's right at the corner of Kendrick Road and Thatcher Lane. It's the site that I think was Design Mark Manufacturing, once occupied. Our client has purchased that building for the purpose of adding an addition to it to move his crumpet manufacturing facility from New Bedford over into the Wareham Industrial Park. The existing parcel that houses the current building is a roughly 2.7 acres in size. It's all in the industrial zone. The site is, I don't know, I'd say about a half developed, 60% developed right now. And with our addition, we'll move that development footprint a little bit further to the south and east. And I think some of the things just to note is it's in the industrial zone. There are some lot coverages. Do you have the plans, Aaron, by any chance? Or I don't need them now, but.
Muted. Sorry, I was muted. First time I've done that. When you want to let me know and I'll pull them up.
Okay, I'm just curious. Okay, so anyway, the site is in the industrial zone and minimum lot areas are 30,000 square feet with I think about 150 feet of frontage required. This lot exceeds all those dimensional criteria. Also meets the setback distances associated with the existing building. Right now, the building coverage on the site is 13.9. We're proposing to move it to 22. The allowed building coverage is 50%. So we're about half of what's allowed. Maximum lot coverage is 70%. Existing is at 38.7 currently. And with the new project would be roughly at 50.1%. The parking on the site currently is, I think it's office space for the most part, manufacturing. I forget how many spaces were there. There's quite a few. I want to say there might be in the order of magnitude of 60 or so. We're not in need of that many spaces. On sheet number 1, there's a parking schedule. And as part of the development of the site of the building, the existing building, a portion of that building is going to be used with the manufacturing process. About 5,500 square feet is targeted to remain as office space. So as part of our parking schedule, we've allocated 250 square feet per parking space for that 5,500 square feet of area. So that requires 22 spaces. As far as what we're required for the manufacturing, because I think we categorize the crumpet making as manufacturing, we're taking like raw product, putting it together, creating something else. And packaging it and shipping it off-site. So we're required to have one space per 1.5 employees on the largest shift. We think that the maximum number of employees would be 20. Therefore, 14 spaces are required for the staff of 3 Kendrick Road LLC, in addition to the 22 for the future office use, for a total of 36. We've provided 40 spaces on the site. The site is in flood zone X. There's no flood issues to be concerned about on this particular site. The site is really pretty well developed. There's loading areas in the back, there's paving, there's circulation, there's a truck dock, none of which really works too well for what we're attempting to do over there. I mean, we wanted to be a little bit more efficient. So I think we've developed a site that accommodates those desires for more efficiency. You can see through the test pit data that the soils that exist out there are predominantly fine, medium to fine sands are in, they're very, very suitable for what we're intending to do down on the property. Sheet number 3 indicates the existing conditions plan, and on that plan it shows where the existing building currently sits. It's served by municipal water, fire protection, sanitary sewage, sanitary service, and what have you. We're intending to retain those existing services and tie into them inside the building in some way, shape, or form. The mechanical engineers have looked at extending the water from the front of the building, providing the fire protection and the domestic needs for the facility itself. There's also a need to add a pretty substantial gas line. The baking unit that's being purchased, being shipped from England, it runs on natural gas. So we expect to have to increase the size of the gas service serving the building. It looks to me that we may extend a new service for the manufacturing from Kendrick Road. But if you look at that sheet on sheet number 3, that sheet number 3 is the existing conditions plan. You can see that currently the stormwater management that's utilized on the site, it's a couple of series of catch basins. There's one here. There's another one out in the back. It seems somewhat random in nature, and we really couldn't find a reason to retain any of it. So we're going to remove that system. There's also in the top of the sheet, you'll see that there's a connection to a municipal storm drain system that we're just going to abandon that for the time being. We're going to keep all stormwater and we're going to manage it on site. And I'll explain that when I get to that area. But we'll cap that off and just use that in the future if need be. But you can see this large area of trees and what have you. That'll all need to be cleared, and we're going to really reshape the site in a manner that really facilitates what the applicants looking to do on the site. You can see that the layout that we have here, where the striping is shown, that's taken directly from the existing site conditions. And this heavy dark line around the site, that'll give us our limit of work line that we're going to use. So we're intending to retain the existing portion of the site in its current state, and use the entrance to the south, I guess we'll call it the southwest, as the main entrance into the property. But that's an overview, a quick overview of the existing conditions at the property. The next sheet indicates the footprint and general layout of what is proposed. And you'll see that we're proposing to butt up against the existing building with a 6,000 square foot addition. That building will house the manufacturing, the machine that's going to manufacture the crumpets. There's also a blending area for the ingredients. There's a receiving area for the ingredients that get blended in that portion of the site. There's a loading dock. You'll see it reads deliveries loading dock. All the deliveries that are going to come with the raw product are going to be made at that new building. So we show a truck loading dock at that location, as well as a man door that's up in here, a man door to provide access for the truck drivers to give their bill of lading and what have you to the manager inside the facility. So we're looking to have that as the main loading dock for the receiving of goods. Everything is going to drain from this loading dock out to the east to the drainage basin. I'll explain that when we get there. The other loading dock is over here a little bit centrally located on the site. That loading dock has two loading bays at that location, and that's for shipping. That's where the products will be put into, refrigerated trucks and hauled out to the various locations. There's a 1,260-foot enclosed loading dock. It's more like a vestibule and a freezer vestibule and a loading area. So we can take product out of that freezer, bring it on that loading dock and put it inside the shipping trucks, the WB-53s that'll be parked there. So that's what the intention is, at least to take the material from the site. So if we're looking at a trip generation model, we'd come in off of Kendrick Road. Access would be through the existing parking lot and into the newer portion of the site. And then we'll turn and use this bituminous concrete area as our turning area for backing up the trucks to get into the loading dock. So we figured the space required, put the turning templates on there for WB-53, and what we have shown on this plan accommodates those trailers pretty readily. The deliveries that are going to be made up to the manufacturing building, that'll typically be a box truck. It's larger box truck. It will not necessarily be a tractor trailer. So we have a little bit of a different distance that we're going to be using for that in that area. So that seems to work out pretty well. You'll see these dotted areas, snow storage areas, which were just some areas that are available to put snow in the event that it's required to be stored on site. We show a dumpster location on concrete pads. One will be for trash, one will be for cardboard. It looks like we'll have two dumpsters located in an enclosure on a concrete pad. And then if we continue out to the north through that 30-foot driveway, we've selected a 30-foot driveway. In the event we want to have deliveries come in this way, they're able to navigate down Thatcher Lane, take a right into the site and get there. In addition, when we're leaving the site, we're able to come right out, make a left-hand turn on Thatcher Lane. So we have pretty nice circular vehicular traffic movements on the site, and the site's designed to accommodate the truck traffic that we intend. In addition to the truck traffic, as I said, we're going to extend the water into this building from the existing building. We showed this gas line coming to a gas meter that is likely to be needed for the new piece of equipment. I spoke with Guy Campina at the sewer department. He's concerned about objectionable material finding its way into the municipal sewer system. So we're going to put a 3,000-gallon two-compartment grease trap or separator in the line of the sanitary that comes out of that portion of the building. It's not connected to any of the sanitary fixtures within the building. It's only from the floor drains and the food handling component inside. We'll extend that out into Thatcher Lane and construct a new sanitary manhole on the existing sanitary line in Thatcher Lane. So that's what we're looking to do with trucks, traffic, people, food, things of that nature over here. And please, if anything comes up that you'd like me to stop on so you can interject a thought or a comment, I'm happy to answer those for you. The parking spaces that we show on here are the town standard 9.5 by 19s. And we show the new ones here. There's new ones over here and the existing ones in the existing parking lot. Let's see, what else do we have site-wise? I think that pretty much hits on most of the topics with the site. The next sheet is the site grading and the stormwater management. So you can see that on the east side of the site, there's a fair grade change that needs to be made there. There's a hill that's there. We're going to excavate that hill, use part of the slope for the backside of our drainage basin. That area will also be landscaped as well. And what we've shown is the sloping, how it's going to slope from the building down into the drainage area. But we're going to discharge our stormwater into these rain guarding turrets. You've probably seen us use them before in other plans, but it's a water quality device. It's an approved water quality device. It actually can remove up to 44% of the TSS, which is total suspended solids. And we have a series of those located at the perimeter of the pavement for the sole purpose of collecting all of our surface water runoff and discharging that into our infiltration basin. So all of the storm water is intended to remain on site and within that basin. We have a stone-filled trench on the north side of the existing building. That's just to collect the roof drainage from the building. There's going to be a 6-inch diameter pipe within that, and we're going to discharge that through a pop-up emitter right on the toe of that slope. And that water will run across the parking lot and into our drainage basin. That is any excess water that exceeds the capacity of that infiltration trench. In a similar manner, there's existing roof drains on the existing building that we're going to pick those up and tie those into a roof drain conductor. And again, use a pop-up emitter right at the end of that aisle to deposit that roof runoff into the parking lot, where it'll sheet flow across the parking lot and into the drainage basin. So that's how we chose to try to handle most of that stormwater at the site. Seems to work out fairly well. We'll have landscaped areas in the area between the parking lot and between the loading dock. Not a real big need for concrete retaining walls. We're trying to keep those down to a minimum, just slope our grade down to the backside of our Cape Cod berm. What do we have here? We have, I guess, our sedimentation erosion control plan, and we indicate what we're going to do during construction. Obviously, we won't be using our drainage basin until after the site's stabilized and the construction of the parking lot is complete. The finishing of that basin will be one of the last things that'll get done on the site, in addition to the landscaping. But we show 2 construction entrances. We expect the contractors will be bringing materials in through one, perhaps hauling material out through the other. But two construction entrances seemed to be pretty much in order. And I think we have a certain amount of not too much erosion control, perimeter erosion controls. We do show it at the limit of our work in some areas, but usually that's at the high point. Won't serve much of a function other than defining the limits of work. So that's what we have there. If you want to go to the next one, Aaron, I think the next one's a landscaping plan. We're not showing any landscaping changes at the front of the building. It is fairly well landscaped as it exists today, but we are proposing to put a little bit more landscaping in the island between the parking and the loading dock, making the parking lot a little bit more continuous with the with the parking lot to the west. And then we show some trees in the drainage basins, a few shrubs and what have you. But we didn't go overboard with the landscaping features on the site, other than to dress up the corners at the entrances and try to create a little bit of definition adjacent, the parking lot adjacent to the loading docks. That's pretty much it on the landscaping. The remaining sheets are just the sheets that indicate the details of construction: grass seed, curbing, trench detail, fence around the enclosure, the handicap striping, the bollards. We also show a concrete washout pit detail. They'll be pouring a fair amount of concrete for the foundations for the new buildings. So I think that I have a preference for this. We put the polyethylene liner on the inside of one of these basins. The concrete guys can just wash their truck right out on that. And at the end of the day, just dispose of it, the whole thing, and just reline it with a new liner and continue on for the next day. There's a dumpster pad location detail that we've shown, as well as the wheel stops that we'll use, and in the paving that's proposed under our bituminous concrete paving schedule. And I've detailed this as a 2-inch top course and a 3-inch binder. And again, that's due to the heavier nature of the vehicles that'll be using that loading area. So we'll see how that works out. I expect it to work out fine, but that's that's what we specified as 5 inches of mix on top of the base that we show in the detail. And is this the last sheet? One more, I guess. One more is the drainage. The drainage indicates a small nyloplast drain. If we have to use a little bit of drainage on the site, we're using the heavy duty plastic. It's small for the use that we're dealing with. Here's a detail of the pop-up emitter that I spoke about. I mean, that emitter, just a little bit spring loaded, pops up when the head pressure builds up in the pipeline, spills excess water out at grade, and it's a nice way to relocate it, minimizes the potential for erosion on any of the surfaces that aren't hardscaped. There's a little weep hole in the bottom at the elbow and a small amount of stone that allows us to that line to drain the small portion that doesn't pop up and drain out. So that's what that detail looks like. And this is the detail of what the rain guarding turret looks like. It has a concrete throat. There's a grate on the top of it. There's a filter and a grated outlet on the outside. So this area right in here is the area that collects the debris. I like these because everything you see is right there in front of you. And, if you see something that needs to be cleaned up, I think it's pretty easy to direct staff, maintenance department, or whatever to clean it up. It's easy to do. Shovel, man, bucket, and go from there. It's they're pretty good. And the other detail just indicates our stormwater management basin. Let's see, where are we?
I'm gonna go back up, or
I thought you just had to get to go up, or on the other. I think it's on the. Was it on the other sheet? There it is, right there. This is a cross section through our drainage basin that indicates the various storms, the elevation that are attained within the basin. The 100-year storm gets up to a little over elevation 42. It's about 8 inches lower than the top of the berm.
Oh, sorry,
Whoops,
that was my
that's
fault.
all
It
right.
just went away. Well, I'm gonna back up real quick. Ah, of course.
Crash.
I think, hold on, I think it might be okay. Let's see here. I don't know if it's gonna. Ah, we're
Yes.
There
back.
you go. Yep. So in the bottom of the trench, there's something that you might consider as a wick. It just provides a pretty easy path for the water in the basin to exfiltrate into the underlying soils. So we show I think it's a 2x2 trench that's lined with geotextile fabric. It's shown here on the right-hand side that that'll work to facilitate water to go into the drainage basin. We also show some silt sacks that would go into existing basins out in Kendrick Road, out in Thatcher Lane, on the site, wherever they're needed. It's just another preventative measure for to prevent sediment from finding its way into Dave Menard's drainage system. So that's pretty much a thumbnail sketch on what's going on out here. This other detail over to your right-hand side, that's the infiltration trench that's adjacent to the building. And I had them remove the piece of geotextile fabric that was against the foundation wall that caused a little heartburn on another job. So we just took it off this one and should work out just fine. You know, it's basically 6 feet 6 inches, 3.5 feet deep. So has a appreciable amount of volume to it. But in any event, that's pretty much the thumbnail sketch of the project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, from my point of view, I love the project. I love the idea of an actual manufacturer locating in the industrial park and using an existing plot of land, and especially a manufacturer that's coming into the town from outside of the town. I think that's fabulous. I don't see
they're very
anything
excited to
personally
move here.
for me. I don't see anything. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised they picked that individual part. It's, you know, for somebody that manufactures or distributes, Kent Road's probably the nicest location in town. I mean, you can go anywhere within 60 seconds of leaving your building. You're on a major highway heading to someplace to sell your goods. So it doesn't surprise me that they picked us. I mean, you know, aside from you know, obviously moving to the next steps, I don't see anything that gives me concern at all. Is there anybody on the board that wants to chime in and has any concerns or whatnot?
I think it's a job well done. I like the idea of the company moving to Wareham. I think the plans are extremely well done. I'm very excited about it coming to Wareham.
Yes, I think the plans are pretty well thought out. And I think it is exciting to see such a facility coming.
I did neglect to point out there's 3 pole lights that'll be installed on the site, one by that exit driveway at Thatcher Lane, one at the end of the loading dock where the delivery trailers are going to be on that piece of ground, and then right at the intersection of where the new and the old parking areas meet. Those are similar to the ones that, well, they should be identical to the ones that we used on another project down on Main Street. So they'll be properly shielded, you know, dark sky compliant, shielded in what have you. So they're everything that is required under the bylaw and consistent with what has been expected for pole lights on a site.
Well, like I said, I love the idea. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better location. It's not going to irritate or give anybody heartburn as far as abutters. You know, you can't pick a better location. So I'm excited to move to the next steps, which I'm assuming would be, if I'm not mistaken, Aaron, would be to make arrangements to have Charlie start to look at their plans and start making comment.
Yeah, I think I can't remember. Charlie might have the plans already, but if not, we can make that happen.
I do have
Right,
plans.
but, we have to authorize,
Yeah, I do have the plans, Mike.
we have to authorize Charlie to do that, correct?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
the plans. I did send in a cost estimate. I haven't been given authorization to proceed. But just looking at the explanation that Mr. Madden gave, I don't think it's going to be terribly complicated. I did have a couple of questions. Maybe we could talk about it for a second. Where you show the two snow areas, Bill, if you were to provide, say, a level area off of the pavement, right where those two snow areas are, I realize it's in that long drainage swale, but how much of a reduction in capacity would it give you in your drainage area if you were to simply slide those snow areas over into that drainage section and connect it underneath with a connecting pipe so that there wouldn't be any ponding or separation of the drainage, and it would keep the paved areas absolutely clear for the negotiation of trucks? Because if you load that area up with snow and you've got a 53-footer coming in, he's going to have a hard enough time backing that around into those loading docks as it is. So that was one thing, just to see if it's possible. The second thing would be whether or not you could take that small overflow that you've got, that you're proposing out to go into the driveway, and just turn it 90 degrees and let it go out into the grass area that's adjacent to the roof runoff that you have on the north side of the building. I think I'd rather see that than rather have that emitter spit the water out onto the pavement where it's uncontrolled.
Yeah, I don't see any issue with either one of those comments. I think the snow might be a little trickier, whereas stormwater management wants us to keep that snow out of the drainage areas. So that's why I was hoping that I would
Going to end up there in the long run, because once it melts, it's going to go to the lowest point in your pavement, and it's going to get there anyway. So if it's sitting on high ground, it's just going to infiltrate right there.
Yep. Okay.
But it leaves the pavement area clean of any obstructions. They won't have to worry about icy conditions building up, and it'll keep the maneuverability of the trucks, I think, a lot easier for them. But
and I think if we look at the way the grading is, there's a little bit of a grass strip over there too, before we really start to encroach on the capacity of that drainage basin in and of itself. So for sure we can tweak that and figure out what to do with it.
okay. And you mentioned too that you wanted to put 5 inches of mix in the new pavement. Are you going to reclaim the old stuff out to Kendrick Road?
No, I think that it was kind of beat up and what have you. And I think that at the end of the day, to bring another operation in, to pulverize and what have you, to get that to the gradation that's necessary, I don't think it's worth it. It just seems.
Remove it?
Yeah, we're just hauling it out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's all gonna be gone. Everything is gonna be stripped down and what have you on that
Okay.
site.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have anything else, Mr. Chairman, at this point.
Anyone else on the board have any comment? I do see this is a public hearing, so we need to make a motion to open the public hearing for input. Am I correct in that assumption, Aaron?
Yeah, you can just ask the public for comment. I read the hearing has been read in. So at this point, if anyone in the public would like to speak, they can have the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Having heard that, I would open this up for public comment. If there's anybody attending the meeting or like to comment on this project, please feel free. Not seeing anybody. Missing anyone?
I don't see any hands. So looks like you're good to go.
So next steps would be authorizing Charlie to move forward with his work on this.
Yep.
And then continue, would we continue, we wouldn't want to continue this till the 28th. That seems a little bit time restrictive. Would we want to go to the meeting after that and put it on the
I would say,
agenda for that meeting?
I would say if Charlie thinks he could have a letter by then you can move to the 28th, but ask him how long it might take him to do the review.
Charlie, what do you think? Is the 28th a little bit too time restrictive for you to do your
I don't think so,
your
but I need
work, or
to know that the 53G account is all set up ahead of time.
right? Yeah, obviously. Okay. So why don't we move forward with, we'll put this on the agenda for the 28th in hopes of being in a position where we can continue with Charlie's report and then go from there.
Just one thing, and Charlie might. Oh, Mr. Chairman, can I just input one thing real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Just maybe Charlie might. I don't know if Ken's still here. They should take a vote to authorize Charlie, right? Or is it just kind of known? I think you probably should take a vote, correct, to do that, because I think that's what usually has happened in the past.
You should take a vote.
Okay.
Do we need to also take a vote to authorize 53G account, or is that along with the vote to authorize Charlie?
That's just authorize Charlie. Under the 53G account that's been set up.
Okay. Well, entertain a vote. Entertain a motion to vote to authorize Charlie to move forward with his work concerning the site plan review 2-22 3 Kendrick Road, pending the 53G account being established.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Stan Corbett, seconded by Jane Gleason. Take a vote. Sam? Did I miss you, Sam? Did I miss your vote?
Aye.
Jane?
Yep. Yes.
Mike Baptiste?
Aye.
And chair votes aye, 0-0. Thank you so much, Bill. Nice project. Looking forward to seeing that move forward.
Yeah, everybody is, it'll be exciting. It's a nice job, nice location, nice job, should work out fine. And I'll do the best I can to get everything to the board in a timely manner.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have one burning question before we adjourn, though. What's a crumpet?
Seriously? I'll tell you one thing, they're pretty good, and
You get samples, right?
yeah, exactly.
It's an
Exactly.
English muffin with a lot of holes in it.
So it's a flat bagel, right?
Well, it's more like an English muffin, but it only has the holes on one side. You know, and he has a very, very, very good product. It's like, no, it's real good. So
You're gonna have a tasting room, right?
we are gonna have a tasting room, right? So.
Little bribe.
Hopefully, when they're baking, it'll make the whole area smell.
Yeah, that'll be, should be interesting.
Like croutons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be tough. It'll be tough come home hungry from the day and having to drive by and smell freshly baked pumpkins. That might be a problem.
But it's all good.
Okay. All right. Thanks again, Bill.
Yeah, thank you all so much for your time.
Next,
I much
public
appreciate
comment
it.
on master.
Was that
Alright.
somebody, did you ask me a question?
Moving on, public comment.
Okay, you guys have a good night.
Nope. I was just, you two. Moving on, public comment on the master plan update to initiatives. Is there anyone that wants to comment on that? Okay, having hear none and see none.
Wait,
Seen a hand up there.
planning- Where?
Annie Hayes has her hand up.
Miss,
Hi, fellas and Jane. Can you hear me?
oh, yep, go ahead.
Good. I don't know what the initiatives are. I don't expect you to go through them, but it seems that in past meetings that subject comes up about the master plan comments, and we zip right by it. And I happen to feel it's a very important document. So can you give me a 1 or 2 sentence synopsis of what your perspective is?
No.
As far as the master plan goes,
Yeah, you were talking about initiatives, correct?
This is, maybe I can add to this
Thank you.
conversation. The new initiatives is if somebody has been familiar with the master plan, has new ideas that they want to bring forward that should be considered by the planning board in the master plan updates that come in the next couple of years.
So would this be the time, I'm not going to present an initiative, just a comment, but would this be the time that would be discussed at a planning board meeting? If you had a new initiative?
Yes, it would be.
Okay, so a public can have an initiative, a board member, anybody can have an initiative, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I have 2 comments. One is about the, I think it was at 434 Main Street, Nazi's building. Was that a tear down? I didn't understand the plan.
That's not really part of the master plan, though.
No, I know, but it has to do with preservation because I was at a historic commission meeting a couple of weeks ago, and Angela was talking to his attorney and really working her best to see if there was a way to preserve that because it has a great deal to do with the character of the town's architecture.
I think what you can do is review the historic preservation aspects of the master plan, see if they address any of those issues. And if not, then we maybe beef them up and redirect some of the effort towards historic preservation.
Okay, because that is he is tearing that building down.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It hasn't gotten to that stage. All right. And the other was, I'm not sure how many acres of forest. This has to do with the master plan's vision of the kind of town that people have expressed they want Wareham to remain. And there's so much emphasis in that document on the natural world, open space, preservation of landscape, all of that. And I probably have the facts wrong, but I know from walking 140 Tohonet, 150 and 27 Charge Pond, when we did the MEPID review, that these were beautiful forests. And tonight was the death knell of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres of forest. And if you calculate 200 to 400 trees per acre, that's, maybe close to 80 to 100,000 trees. And it's an enormous amount of animal life. And I hope that the master plan can also be part of preventing that from happening in the future.
I would suggest you also consider the open space and recreation plan and see what it has to preserve properties as well.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay. Anyone else on comments on that? Okay. Seeing none, I would move on to liaison updates. Solar Bylaw Committee with Mr. Schultz. Mr. Schultz is not with us tonight. Community Preservation Committee, Mr. Corbett.
Spent a lot of work on the Little Harbor project. Took a couple weeks off after that. We have a meeting next Wednesday. We're considering all the applications for funds that have come in, getting ready for town meeting. Capital planning, first meeting is next Wednesday as well. It's always a fun Wednesday when you have two meetings in one day. But we'll start the process next Wednesday.
Okay, very good. Serpent, nothing has changed in the last week. It does look like we're planning on having an in-person meeting this year, which I'm actually excited about. I'm not a huge fan of Zoom anymore. I've had enough of it. So with our next meeting, I will have some updates for you.
Mr. Chairman, Nancy McHale is has her hand raised, and she is the chairman of the Solar Bylaw Committee. I think it might be appropriate if you hear from her this evening, since we're going to have a public hearing on the solar bylaw coming up.
Yep, I didn't see her on that. Go ahead, Nancy.
You're muted, Nancy.
Yeah, thank you all. I believe that I have submitted copies of the warrant and the bylaw to the planning department. I just wanted to make, because I don't see it on the planning board site under proposed town meeting warrant articles. So I just want to make sure that A, you have it, and B, I know we'll do the public hearing on the 28th. But if anybody has any particular questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. Ken, Aaron, and I think most of you have my address, my email address as well. But the Solar Bylaw Committee is working on some public outreach, and we're hoping to have something significant available to explain to the public about that process. Okay. And I thank Ken for all of his help on that. And Carl has been a gigantic help. So thank you for lending him to the Solar Bylaw Committee. Appreciate it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
And I do have it.
Okay. If that could be put up on the town's website, that would be very helpful for any of the public who would want to be reading it at this point in time. So they'll come prepared with whatever questions they have. Thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate the time.
Annie, do you have something else to say? I see your hand is still up. Oh, you're all set? Okay. So upcoming meetings, obviously on the 28th, we're going to discuss the zoning articles. So we'll be prepared for that when the 28th comes. Aside from that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mike, before you do,
Yes.
just wanted to mention that there are two people in the audience that have applied for the associate membership of the planning board, and the appointing authority, the town moderator and the chairs of the Board of Selectmen, the planning board and the finance committee are going to be meeting to decide on who becomes the next associate member.
Yeah, we actually talked about that earlier in the meeting, Ken. And that is scheduled for this Wednesday at 6 p.m. if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Correct?
That's
Yep,
right.
Okay. Yep, I will be there, and I'm looking forward to meeting the applicants. So with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
And motion to adjourn by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste.
Hello,
Sam?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes?
Yeah, this is Dan Davis. I'm from number 3 Candle Paper Lane. I came onto the meeting late this afternoon or this evening, around 7 o'clock, and I was told that I needed a release of some sort to sell my property at Candle Paper Lane. I had spoken to Mr. Buckland about this and Mr. Shaheen about this earlier, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't see.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
This
This
is
is
unfortunate.
inappropriate. There's a motion on the floor.
Right.
You can go to Ken tomorrow.
Yeah, this isn't on the agenda anywhere for tonight, and so you would actually have to go to the planning office tomorrow if you have a concern that you need to address. But this is not the time or the place, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I was told that it would be on the agenda. I'm sorry. I'll speak to somebody tomorrow morning about it. Thank you.
All right, very good. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
So we have a motion by Sam Corbett, a second by Mike Baptiste. Vote to adjourn. Sam?
Yes.
Jane?
Aye.
Mike Baptiste?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 4-0-0. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night,
Good
all.
job, Mike.